Good morning, friends. It's Bob again, bringing you another reflection on growing up in Christ. Now, we've been talking about house churches and becoming disciples, and the core business of the church is making disciples, to be and to make disciples. That's Matthew 28. That's kind of beyond dispute. So, but what is a disciple and how are disciples made? And Jesus actually gives all kinds of word pictures and thoughts about what that looks like. And one of them that's beautiful that he summarizes in this word picture of vine and branches within John 15. It's a beautiful image of that the life and everything comes in the connection. That a disciple is one, first and foremost, that is connected to Jesus and connected to other people. Everything comes in the connection. Or another way of putting that is, it's all in the connection. And so when we talk about disciples and we talk about immersing ourselves in Jesus and his world and his way, we're talking about connection. And so Jesus says it this way in John 15. He says, I am the vine. You are the branches. I made it into the Bible. My last name did. The one who remains or abides in me continues to stay connected to me, and I in him produces much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So this is a picture of connection. It's a picture of connection between us and him and us. And I was just out in the backyard with and looking at our lemon tree, and this one fell off on the ground because of the windstorm that we had over the last week. But the reality is that this particular piece of fruit will grow so long as it's connected to a stem, connected to a branch, connected to the main stalk. Using the grape analogy, which is being used here, it is that the fruit is connected to the vine. And that in that connection, everything is in that connection. Now, this is, I think, something that we tend to ignore or we get kind of distracted. But the reality is that it's all in the connection. It's a picture, of connection. So the first thing that Jesus says is through the connection, the life and the nutrients come. Now, it's really important in this, in that if you think about it, no branch that actually is cut off is any longer receiving the nutrients and the life that come from the vine. It just doesn't happen. That place of segregation off of or from the vine, that place of disconnection actually means that we don't get the stuff that we need to actually have a real life. And this is what Jesus came and paid a very high price to give us, is to give us life. And so the life and the nutrients come. So if a branch is connected to the vine, then that branch over time, it just continues to get the life-giving flow through that connection. That's where it comes in. And the way that Jesus has described this and the New Testament has described this is that the connection is both with God and with his people. And that somehow when we're connected with his people, he is actually doing the connecting, and he is actually letting the nutrients come as we connect to him and to people and to him through people. So in that whole thing, life and nutrients come through that connection. Second thing he says is that fruit comes from that connection. Fruit comes from the connection. So if we're talking about fruit, what does that mean? Well, fruit is maturity. Fruit is character. Fruit is impact. Fruit is just growing up and becoming mature and becoming everything that God has designed you to be. Fruitfulness comes from the connection, and without the connection, there is no fruitfulness, there is no maturity. Now, he also actually uses the analogy to actually say some things about what it's like to be disconnected as well. That when we disconnect, we dry up. When we disconnect, we fall off. And this is actually a really important part of what Jesus is talking about the connection, is that you keep your connection alive. You have the nutrients and the life flowing. You have over time, fruit comes. Now, fruit doesn't all of a sudden pop up, all of a sudden I got fruit. No, actually fruit produces over time. It's the way that it works in every plant. It takes some time to produce that fruit, but without the connection, we dry up. Let me say this again. It's all in the connection. It's all in the connection to God and to others. The growth, the maturity, the impact, the best version of you, that all comes in the connection. Your immersion into Jesus as a disciple, in his ways, in his life, it's all in the connection. All in the connection. And that connection happens best in smaller groupings. Smaller groupings. That's where the different things that come from that connection actually start to really flourish. And so that's the reason why we're going and launching house churches in February, is because the life is in that connection. And because the life is in that connection, we want to provide all kinds of opportunity for that connection so that that life, that fruitfulness, those nutrients come into you as a disciple of Jesus. I'm so glad that you joined me today. I'm praying for you. I'm walking with you. I love you. Again, thanks for joining me. God bless you.